third circle, first kata. So this is the 8 direction form with a step through. So, what you're gonna do? What you're gonna do? Start from your middle guard. Now our 8 directions are sort of like a compass rose. We're gonna use the 4 cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west, and the 4 intermediate. So you've got the diagonals, northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest. So if I start facing north for this form, I like to start from my rear low guard. So I initiate from here, I've got my left foot forward, I'm gonna move north first. I do my overhead cut with a step through. Now I'm gonna turn to face south and lift to the high guard as I turn. So it's important that I lift as I turn. If I turn and then lift, it leaves my weapon really vulnerable for interference. And if I lift first and then turn, it becomes more difficult to keep the weapon balanced and keep it online. And so the reason why I'm gonna lift and turn at the same time, my hands and my feet are actually gonna sort of facilitate the movement, combine the movement, so then I hold my balance better, and I'm gonna be able to more immediately attack as soon as I change direction. So starting from the beginning, I'm facing north. I like to start from middle guard and come all the way back to the rear low guard. Then I initiate, I come in with the overhead, doing a step through, reaching out with that 1 strike. Now I lift as I pivot. You're gonna wanna pivot on the balls of your feet. I step through and deliver a 1 strike to the south. Now, I'm gonna go east, okay? And so I'm gonna lift as I turn and step through, and then I pivot on the balls of my feet. Now I'm facing west, back to the camera, and then step through into the 1 strike. Now from here, I like to turn to do that back diagonal. So that is gonna be southeast, and this makes it so that it's easiest to incorporate my step through. I turn northwest, and now as I turn, I'm gonna go to the southwest so that I can keep that step through footwork. Now you can do the transitions other ways. Ultimately, it's sort of up to you on what order you do the directions in, but as often as possible, you want to practice the 180 turn and lift. So for the most part, what you're gonna do is pivot on the balls of your feet. Let me move over here so you can kind of see. So my front foot, I pivot on the ball of my foot. My back foot, I'll pivot on the ball of my foot and readjust it. So my feet are not perfectly on a line. If they were, then as I pivot, there's ways to kind of keep it on the line. I don't like being that narrow. It makes me feel like my options are a little bit more limited. If you prefer a stance that's more narrow and very closed, then that makes this turn a little bit easier to do quickly. So it's up to you to kind of find the stance that you're most comfortable with for this. Again, so for me, this would be my feet being completely on the same line, so my stance is pretty close, my knees are almost on the same line. I like being a little bit more open, so like at the moment my heels are on the same line, my front foot's straight ahead, my back foot's at an angle, and the heels sort of line up. So then as I pivot, my back foot's got to adjust to accommodate that new stance. This form is all about learning to pivot, so you're changing direction, maintaining your balance, and controlling the weapon in conjunction with the pivot. So fundamentally, this is the skill. And it's finding the way to be able to do that and maintain your balance. If you've got a well-established sense of balance because of either what you do professionally or some other activity you're working on that's also going to emphasize balance, then you may find that this turn comes pretty naturally. For most people, the combination of the hand movement with the change of direction requires some practice to get to where it's something they can do comfortably. As you do this, I encourage you to try different widths of your feet and different alignments of your feet to find what is going to be most comfortable for your frame. So everybody's body is built a little bit differently. We sort of imagine that we're all produced by a factory line, and so everybody's joints work exactly the same. There's actually a lot of difference to our range of motion, both from our hips and from the way that our spines move, and what our own sort of innate sense of balance and spatial awareness is. So as you do the 8 direction form, the standard directions that I want you to think about: north to south, so I've got that 180 turn, east to west, south, east, northwest, southwest, northeast. And that concludes your 8 direction form. If one of those turns feels much more awkward than the others, that tells you that your balance in that direction or rotating that way needs a little bit more work or needs a little bit more attention. And so use this form as an opportunity to kind of find what your most innate balance is and how your body reacts as you quickly change direction. There's not a lot of instances in our lives where we have to turn a 180 and then immediately move forward. That's one of the other things that this form is designed to have you work on. It's change direction and immediately move, which requires a really good combination of your upper body and lower body working together. So this is the 3rd circle, first kata. Good luck.